Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back, counting down my top 30 favorite killer animal films.
All you have is your fire, and the place you need to reach. Don't you ever tame your demon, but always keep 'em on a leash.
My buddy Jason from Horrific Nightmares and I have been wanting to do this countdown for a while. Earlier this week, he counted down his top 30 over the course of 3 separate videos. However, I will be counting down my top 30 in this one video, so I will try to be brief when I talk about each of the films. But before I get into it, I do want to say it's a pretty good topic. So good, in fact, that Anchor Bay had the same idea in 2005 when they released this box set, Man's Worst Friends. It came with Rats, Zoltan, The Cat O' Nine Tails, Slugs, The Black Cat, and Parasite. And while all of these films won't be making this list, some of them definitely will. And now, just a couple of things. First, this list will only feature horror films, so this will be the only mention of Thomas J. getting killed by those bees. Secondly, now this is important, so please pay attention to what I'm about to say, because I know someone is still going to comment asking where it is. Jaws will not be appearing on this list. Everybody expects it to be number 1, or at least high on the countdown. So I'm just eliminating that expectation altogether, and I'm not even considering Jaws for this list. You will not see it. I'm not saying it wouldn't be in my top 30. I'm just saying, for the sake of eliminating that bias, Jaws will not be on this list. I also won't be including The Fly. As much as I love this film, I don't really consider it to be a killer animal movie, so again, it will not be appearing on this countdown. And now, without further delay, here they are, my top 30 favorite killer animal films. Coming in at number 30 is a movie from that Anchor Bay Man's Worst Friend box set that I showed earlier in this video, Zoltan, Hound of Dracula. It's pretty much a vampire dog. It's a fun movie, not my favorite, but definitely worthy of the number 30 spot. At number 29 is the silly but fun Black Sheep. No, not that Black Sheep with Chris Farley. This Black Sheep. Killer Sheep. You pretty much know what to expect with this one. You know, it's a horror comedy. It is funny. You're not going to be scared out of your wits with this one, of course, but it's a good time. At number 28 is Lucio Fulci's The Black Cat. This was sort of a necessity for me because I have 3 cats of my own. You know, it's good Italian horror. I actually do enjoy this one. I almost had it a bit higher on my countdown, but going through the films, I realized the rest of them I do like more. So here it is at the number 28 spot. Nothing to meow about. Next up, we have a couple of Monster Vision movies. First, at number 27, Orca, the Killer Whale. This is actually a really good film, and I have to say I enjoy it now so much more than I did when I was younger. And at number 26, we have Night of the Lepus, Killer Rabbits. Fun fact, this was, of course, the Easter episode of Monster Vision. Makes sense, doesn't it? Now we have some trauma at number 25 with Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. Yes, I know they're zombie chickens, but they're still chickens, and this movie is a blast. It's so over the top, just what you'd expect from trauma. I have so much fun with this one. Coming in at number 24 is Deadly Eyes. There will be numerous killer rat movies on this countdown, and this is just the first. It's not the best, obviously, which is why it's the bottom of my killer rat films, but it's still enjoyable enough. And speaking of killer rats, at number 23 is Rats, Night of Terror. Now, I know most people greatly prefer this one to Deadly Eyes, but for me, they're pretty close. In fact, the only thing that gave this one the edge was the extra gore. We have even more killer rats in my number 22 pick, Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. What can I say? It's a fun movie with a great cast, a great setting, and a great atmosphere. Coming in at number 21 is Monkey Boy. Now, I talked in pretty good detail about this one in one of my rare movies not on DVD or Blu-ray videos, so If you want to know more about this one, please check that out. All I'm going to say is it's a mutant, half boy, half monkey that goes on a killing spree. At number 20 is Frogs. As you can probably tell, I have a lot of fun with these types of movies. I already included films like Poultrygeist with killer zombie chickens, Night of the Lepus with killer rabbits, Black Sheep with killer sheep, and now Frogs with killer frogs. They're all highly entertaining, and Frogs is no exception. I have a few insect films coming up next, starting with number 19, The Nest. This one has killer cockroaches. Coming in at number 18 is Slugs. Gruesome, gruesome slugs. And number 17, Ticks. This is a fun one. It has a good cast, some great effects, and some really over-the-top gore. It's awesome. At number 16 is the Roger Corman classic, the original Piranha. Piranhas at a Resort. What a vacation that turned out to be. Coming in at number 15 is a movie that I loved growing up and I still love to this day, Arachnophobia. I love John Goodman in this, and the opening death scene is so memorable. At number 14 is Alfred Hitchcock's classic, The Birds. I had actually anticipated placing this higher on the list, but as I was sorting through the films, this is where it ended up. I still revisit this one quite often, actually, and to this day, it holds up. It's a fantastic film from the legend. From one flying species to another with my number 13 pick, Nightwing. I have always loved this movie, probably more than most other people. This one features a swarm of killer bats at an Indian reservation in New Mexico. Now, I said I wouldn't be including Jaws on this list, and I'm not, but I will be including killer sharks in my number 12 pick, Sharknado. My son loves this movie, and I have to admit, so do I. It's not meant to be taken seriously. It's just a good time. Watch it for what it is. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's a blast. Coming in at number 11 is Alligator. A giant alligator crashing a wedding. Ah, good times. We're into the top 10 now with a movie that everybody knows, Cujo. I talked about this one recently in my top 15 favorite Stephen King movies, so if you want to know my thoughts, please check out that video. At number 9 is the last of the killer rat movies on this list, Of Unknown Origin. I guess that would make this my favorite killer rat movie. Peter Weller is fantastic in this, and it's not just a killer rat movie, but it's also a home invasion film, and it's very intense. Coming in at number 8 is Monkey Shines. This is a movie that I've always found to be highly underrated. A paralyzed man is given a pet monkey who has been trained to satisfy his every need, including his darkest and deadliest desires. My number 7 pick features another killer primate, Shakma. This one is about a group of college students and their professor who are playing a Dungeons and Dragons type game in a locked medical building, unaware that a very aggressive and very enraged baboon is on the loose. The kills are very gruesome in this one, and it stars Amanda Weiss from A Nightmare on Elm Street and Roddy McDowall. I love this film. Coming in at number 6 is pretty much the epitome of a killer animal movie, Grizzly. It's the perfect movie for a list like this. All it is a grizzly bear. There's nothing special about it. You know, it's just a massive killer grizzly, and it's a lot of fun. But you know what's even better than a killer bear? A mutant killer bear, like the one in my number 5 pick, Prophecy. This one is about the most extreme hazards of pollution, and it also features mutated fish. Coming in at number 4 is Squirm. Man, do I love this movie. I've always loved the setting especially, but I also love the storyline. An electrical surge that causes all of the worms to surface and wreak havoc on a town. They're bloodthirsty, and they don't care if you're dead or alive. They're going to eat you anyway. At number 3 is a movie that I recently watched for the first time and featured in my latest Rare Movies Not on DVD or Blu-ray video, Trapped. This was a 1973 TV movie, but don't let that fool you. It is awesome. I knew I would enjoy it when I read the synopsis because I love movies that take place in department stores, and this one does. James Brolin plays a character who gets mugged in a department store restroom. When he wakes up, he finds that he's been locked inside the department store for the night. But he's not alone. He's trapped with 6 vicious Doberman guard dogs, and now it's a fight for survival. My number 2 pick is Lake Placid. I very much considered making this my number 1 pick because I love this movie. It has a great cast. You have Bill Pullman, Bridget Fonda, Oliver Platt, Meredith Salinger, and of course, the great Betty White. I mean, she's just a class act all around and fantastic in this film. It's just a lot of fun. I always enjoyed this one. I love the New England setting, and the 30-foot crocodile is just great. Awesome movie, great killer animal film, but it's not my number 1 favorite. Because my number 1 favorite killer animal film is Frozen. No, not Disney's Frozen, not Let It Go Frozen, Adam Green's Frozen. If you've seen this movie, then you know it's really about killer wolves. Yes, there's more to it, but it's about the wolves. Let's be honest. This movie is scary, it is intense, and I do love it. This is quite possibly one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. No joke, because, I'm an empathetic person, so I try to put myself in, other people's shoes. And when I watch movies, I try to imagine that it's me in certain roles. It just makes the viewing experience all the more enjoyable. It just feels real. And this movie feels like it could happen. They're trapped on this ski lift for God knows how long. They don't know. They're possibly stuck there for days, and they really have no idea what they're going to do. Jump and, you risk dying, breaking your legs, and wolves just eating you. And if you do get down unscathed, you risk having the wolves eat you anyway. Somewhere on here it says this is pretty much the Jaws in the snow, and I definitely have to agree. So even though Jaws wasn't featured on this list, my number 1 pick is Frozen, which can be considered Jaws in the snow. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend it. Again, it was directed by Adam Green, who also directed Hatchet, so that should be enough of a persuasion. So there you have it, guys, my top 30 favorite killer animal films. Comment below, let me know what you think about my list, and as always, feel free to post a video response. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.